Hi, let's see what we got going on here today. We are working on some landscaping, some terrain, and this is an example of some student work we turned in a little bit earlier today. Just kind of wanted to go over and highlight a few things. The student's name, Vince, he's put in here. Just to be explicit, you can see the letters. The way that they did this is they sculpted it into the terrain. Oops, that was a lowercase. You can see Vince, I think, here pretty clearly has his name. And then he additionally attached a video showing the use of his terrain because we're using an advanced vehicle type for our, uh, our work here. So let's see. Hopefully this video will play for me. There we go. The advanced vehicle type is going to give you this vehicle in-game. You're going to create a new level. The result of your work will show that you can drive your vehicle around in your level from a top-down view, but only from a top-down view. You would be able to see that the name is carved out in the actual terrain. So it should be a fun expression of yourself. It could be your logo if you want. You can use high points or low points to spell out your name. This example, there's definitely low points or depressions in the surface area. So he's doing a good job here. So I'll let this play itself out here. Let's take a look at the actual assignment so that people understand what the goals are. If we look at the instructions themselves, you're going to see that I want you to be resourceful here. And what I mean by that is there's a whole embedded tool set within the Unreal Game Engine that will help you get this work done. I want you to use that to get your sculpting and your materials together. All right. Attached to this is some samples from past years. And so if we were to take a look down here, we would see, for example, different names with the terrain. You could go way off task here if you're not careful. The documentation here is maybe overly extensive, so be mindful that the stuff above my head here, you can get lost in there. It's more for reference. Similarly, there is so much to know that this 1 hour and 40-minute video is available for encouraging you to take your learning further. And on Wednesday, there's another landscaping assignment. It's one of the two required assignments for the week. And so what I want you to understand is stay focused on the step-by-step to actually get the results we're talking about. Now, what do I mean by step-by-step? And I'm going to walk through that with you right now. So the first decision we need to clarify here is whether we're going to do a new project or if we're going to work with an existing one. I'm going to do one that will indicate games and then click on the word next here. On this screen, there's something we haven't used up to this project. I may have shown it to you briefly. See advanced vehicle type here? It's the game type we're going to use. And if you notice in the preview, we're going to get a skeletal mesh we can drive around an actual vehicle. It's also going to give me some static meshes, some parts that can be used to build tracks. But the emphasis of this is really going to be on the parts that are brought up on the left of your starting position. Make sure you do include starter content. They'll be handy to use later. All the settings here pretty much should be understandable. Short, meaningful name with no spaces in it. Land 3 I'll do. We're going to create some landscape. So land is just a way to abbreviate that. You mentioned this. There it is. It's open for us. This is the advanced vehicle template. Now remember, opening or starting a project is not necessarily your own level. I don't want you to build it here. But just for purposes of demonstration, I will click on play here just to show you. The vehicle starts, and as I click in here to make it active, I can accelerate. WASD are the controls. And as I go off course here, so to speak, this terrain has been set up so that there's a drivable portion. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat, and there's a different material used to indicate where it's drivable as opposed to where it's not. Now, when you set up your terrain, I want it to be boxed in so that the player can't leave the play area. It's called fencing. It would be either too steep of an area, or as I'm edge riding here, probably got myself stuck. I did. It's having some type of a containment zone so that the player can't move around freely and end up driving off the edge of the world, so to speak. So again, this starting point, I'm just going to click play and then escape to get myself back to the player start, is just that. It's a player start amongst a romper room with a sample. Now in this top-down view, you get the idea of a small area of terrain with a drivable space. I want the version that you do to have some of the same elements. You can't drive off of the course, and yet I want your name, when viewed from the top down, to be clear. I'd also like you to have 3 layers of materials on that, indicating by default you should have ice, grass, and dirt. Ice being like on the mountaintop, quote unquote, above the tree line, and the other 2 layers used appropriately on a representation of a play area. We're not going to put it here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the word file. Let's get myself situated here. I'm up in the corner over here. Yes, I'm in the corner over there. Pointing the wrong way. Under file, I'm just going to say new level. And I'm going to use something I haven't used in the past because I think it makes it more interesting to change it up. I'm going to use the time of day starting point. This is a new level now, and if I were to try to play this level, it is still an advanced vehicle level. I do have a space where I could drive. However, as I mentioned before, you'll fall off the edge of the world if you're not careful. All right? So to put yourself back where you were, you could just hit escape at the player start. We're going to go into a new mode now, and the new mode is going to allow you to create your landscape. So one of the modes we switched over to recently was the BSP, or brush editing mode. One of the other modes here that you'll see is the landscape mode. So once you go to a mode within the Unreal Game Engine, this is where the built-in tutorial or help will become immensely valuable to you. So what you could do right here at this point is you could surrender to, or you could embrace, however you want to look at it, this little graduation cap symbol here, and follow through the tutorials. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually stop talking because I'm going to do kind of a speed run here. Here's the key point. I want you to follow step by step. Work at your own pace. It is not a race. The outcome of this should match the samples that you see in the Google Classroom. You can do it the first day I sign it, and if you have a calendar conflict, you can do it the second day. It's got to be done in one of the first 2 days. We're going to take this learning further later in the week. This is your introduction to it, and this should be a fun activity. If you have questions, reach out to me. If you don't voice the questions, I don't know what you're thinking or how stuck you might be, all right? So I'm here to help you. Keep me posted, please. I'm going to pause this just for a minute.